All right, let's just get right into it. Today, we're breaking down the ultimate blueprint for kicking off your journey toward a Tier-1 software engineering job. We aren't just, talking about what to study. We're actually building an authentic, system-driven routine that you can start using on day one. And spoiler alert, the real secret weapon here? It's not about getting everything right. Actually, it's all about how you track your coding mistakes. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll look at the Tier-1 job journey, then a specific 3-hour study plan. After that, we'll get into our secret weapon, tracking your coding mistakes, before wrapping up with your long-term progression and staying authentic. Let's go. Section 1. The Tier-1 job journey, building a foundation. So, day one is really all about establishing the correct fundamental concepts. You're definitely not trying to master the entire computer science curriculum overnight. To start off on the right foot, we have to bust a massive myth that trips up, pretty much a lot of beginners in data structures and algorithms. A lot of folks think ON is the best time complexity, but the reality is very different. Big O notation actually describes an upper bound, meaning it's commonly used for the absolute worst case growth of an algorithm. Omega, on the flip side, describes a lower bound. So on day one, instead of memorizing flawed rules, your goal is just to learn exactly what big O, big omega, and big theta actually mean. Here's the mental model you actually want to build on your first day. At the very top, O of 1 is generally your best case scenario. It's fast. Then, as your operations grow, you move down the line through O of log n, O of n, O of n log n, and eventually you hit that bottleneck of O of n squared, which is, much slower. Getting this hierarchy straight in your head right now, it's going to save you literally countless headaches during those technical interviews later down the road. Section 2. The 3-hour study plan, structuring your day. All right, let's shift gears from theory to practice. Here's exactly how you should slice up a 3-hour session. You want a solid 90 minutes dedicated to Java fundamentals, 45 minutes for SQL basics, and a highly focused 30 minutes for DSA. And this brilliantly illustrates how this balance ensures you're making tangible progress in writing actual code, all while steadily building up your database and algorithmic knowledge. Let's break down that 90-minute Java block a bit more. You're going to cover the absolute bedrock here: variables, data types, operators, conditions like if-else statements, basic inputs and outputs, and of course, your essential loops. But here's where the rubber really meets the road. You need to do 15 practice problems. And please, don't just make them random, progress them. Start with variables, move on to conditions, and finish up with loops. The goal isn't to tackle massive brain-melting difficulty. It's to write the logic entirely on your own without, begging ChatGPT to write your loops for you. Next up is your 45-minute SQL block. First things first, carefully set up your MySQL server and workbench. And let me highlight something absolutely crucial here: secure your root password. Seriously, do not randomly choose a password and then forget it. Trust me on this. Losing your database credentials turns a quick 45-minute practice session into 3 hours of tear-inducing recovery work. It's the worst. Once you're properly set up, you're learning basic table creation, inserts, selects, and filtering with where clauses. Just like with Java, you want to reinforce this with 15 progressively harder problems. To cap off that SQL session, you're going to tackle basic aggregate functions. These are really your bread and butter: count, sum, average, min, and max. Mastering these small operations is basically the final piece of your day one database puzzle. Finally, we hit your 30-minute DSA session. Now, listen closely. Day one DSA should absolutely not be about linked lists, trees, or crazy advanced graphs. Your first foundational skill is simple but incredibly powerful. Look at a small Java program, understand how many times the code executes, and just estimate its time complexity. If you can look at a simple loop and immediately say, hey, that's O of n, or look at a nested loop and say that's O of n squared, you've already built a vastly superior day one foundation than someone who's just sitting there memorizing textbook definitions. Section 3. Tracking your coding mistakes, the secret weapon. I really want to slow down here for a second, because tracking your coding mistakes, that's the feedback loop that completely separates average developers from true Tier-1 candidates. So the crucial point is this 4-part daily note system. You don't want to just passively read. You want to actively log exactly what you learned, what you practiced, the specific bugs or confusing things you hit, and, most importantly, what you still don't understand. This specific structure literally forces you to actively process your day and categorize your blind spots. Let's look at how you actually capture those mistakes effectively. You definitely don't want long copy-pasted textbook definitions. You want personal mental models. For example, instead of writing a massive paragraph on output streams, just write println prints and moves to the next line, while print stays on the exact same line. It's direct, and it's written in your own words based on a bug you actually encountered out in the wild. Now, what's really interesting here is seeing a highly effective bugs and mistakes log in practice. Notice the structure we're using: action, mistake, and the fix. Say your action is setting up SQL and your mistake is forgetting the root password. Well, the logged fix is the hard-earned mental model to always store it securely. Or, let's say you assume a while loop always runs at least once and it causes a bug. You'd log the actual behavior. It checks the condition first. Translating that unintuitive behavior into a logged fix creates incredibly valuable study material for yourself right before your interviews. Section 4. Your long-term progression. Zooming out. Now that we have your daily microsystem totally locked in, let's take a macro view so you don't feel completely overwhelmed. You don't need to learn everything simultaneously at the exact same depth. Your skills are going to stack logically over time. As this timeline outlines, you kick off with Phase 1, Java Fundamentals and Object-Oriented Programming. Only after that do you fold in Phase 2, which is deeper DSA and SQL. That then unlocks Phase 3, Advanced SQL and frameworks like Spring Boot. And finally, you reach Phase 4, putting it all together in projects and specific interview prep. It's a journey. And because your progression naturally moves in phases, your 3-hour study plan has to evolve with it. You'll still study multiple subjects every day, but with totally different weights. In the early stages, remember it was 90 minutes for Java. But as your Java fundamentals become rock solid, you'll gradually reduce that basic Java time and replace it with Spring Boot. It's like a dynamic system that constantly adjusts as your personal expertise grows. Section 5. Staying authentic, the YouTube journey. If you're documenting this journey online, whether that's for a YouTube channel, a blog, or even just a personal portfolio, the way you present this system matters immensely. The internet is already overflowing with fake, I mastered Java in one day kind of content. And let's be honest, that's just not compelling. What is compelling is showing the actual grit, the daily consistency. This authentic content loop outlines exactly how to do that. You learn and write your own theory. You make mistakes, you fix those mistakes, you solve the problems, you record what you learned, and then you repeat the whole shebang tomorrow. That kind of honesty is what recruiters and audiences actually want to see. Which brings us to, honestly, the most powerful quote from our source material today. Don't hide confusion, write it down. That right there is the true hallmark of a candidate preparing for a Tier 1 job. Embracing what you don't know and keeping track of it is literally the only way to systematically conquer it. So you've got the system, you've got the 3-hour breakdown, and you have the exact notebook strategy to turn every single bug into a stepping stone. As you go to open up your IDE today, I want to leave you with this. What mistake are you going to document on day 1? Embrace the errors, guys. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.